Good morning. Do you feel like you're trying to move forward in a storm and nothing's working? You feel like you're just hitting adversity over and over again and you just can't seem to gain any ground? Well, I've got an encouraging word for you today, and I encourage you to listen all the way to the end. My name is LeAnne Freesemann, and this is Restoring Word. And honestly, I've had this word rolling around inside of me for a month, and I haven't been able to just get it out. And I think probably the best way for me to share it with you is just to keep it simple. When you're sailing, you can't sail directly into the wind. Recently, my husband and I got a Catalina 25, and I've spent my summer on this goofy little sailboat, resting, seeking the Lord, and just having quiet time with Him. And it's been something I've desperately needed, and it's given me great joy. But I've learned some really difficult lessons by going out on the lake with a friend of mine, Lee Hartman, and we've had to learn some things the hard way. Now, it's one thing to go through a class that tells you can't sail into the wind. It's another thing to be on a lake on a very nice boat and realize this isn't working. And a lot of things like that are in our lives. We're going through difficulty. We're trying to move forward. We're trying to gain ground. But we just can't seem to get ahead. And, in sailing, there's a principle called tack. And what happens is you have to watch the wind. You have to watch where the air is coming from. You can see it on the waves coming towards your boat. You can see what's coming, in terms of the clouds or whatever. And you're always watching the wind vane at the top of the sailboat. But today the wind is coming from that direction, and if you sail right into it, it's what's called sailing into irons, which means you're not going anywhere. You're not moving. You're stuck. How many times in life have you felt like you're stuck? Well, the one thing I've learned through sailing, and I think just through life in general, is you have to adjust the posture of your heart. You have to look at your heart and you have to say, okay, I have this thing coming, but how can I use it to the best advantage? How can I use it to continue to love and trust and serve God, even when it's been hard? On my little diagram today, this is what when you sail, this is what you do. It's called tacking. Down here is point A, and up above is point B. Guys, I teach with a smart board, a board like this at Epic. And so I use things like this all the time. Here you are down here, and you want to get up there. You want to get ahead. Well, guess what? You can't. Why? Because the wind is coming straight at you. What are the 4 things that generally you're going to have to deal with? Well, the first one is disappointment. The second one is loss. The third one is criticism. And the fourth one is betrayal. There are pretty typical things that knock people out of life and ministry. But the Lord will, in some ways, test your heart. And if you can navigate these seasons of difficulty and you can adjust your heart, you can adjust your sails, you will go forward. The first one is disappointment. I think disappointment in general, so many times it happens, it doesn't really have anything to do with God. It really has to do with people. People are going to let you down in life. People are going to let you down in ministry. People are going to make you promises and say they're going to do things for you and they don't. Or, a deal is supposed to come through and it doesn't. But if if you can just roll with it, if you can just tack, and if you can just make that adjustment to move forward, shift the boat, shift the sails, pull the sail on the other side, catch the wind from another direction, and keep moving forward. It's a real one. The second one is loss, and I would say loss this year for me has been very tangible, and it's been tangible for so many in my life right now. Losing someone that you love is heartbreaking, especially if you've prayed and you believed for breakthrough and you don't understand God. You don't understand the big picture. You don't see where He's coming from. You don't see all of the other issues. If you can trust him and you can tack, you can use it. You can adjust the boat, adjust the sails, pull it around to the other side. Keep your eyes on the word. Keep your eyes on heaven. Keep your eyes on his goodness. Continue to trust even when you don't understand. God will continue to use you in a supernatural way. When we lost Billy Joe Doherty, it was devastating. Nobody understood. Like, why? I don't know. Well, I know he's good. I know he's got a plan. I know his plans for me are for good and not for evil. He's going to give me a future and a hope. But I don't understand loss. I don't understand. You know, Job went through it. You got to be like Job. You got to love him no matter what you're facing. And I will tell you, at times it's very, very difficult. But you can use it to propel you forward if you do it the right way. If you adjust the sails and say, okay, it's not working. We're going to go this way now. We're going to use this way. What's the fourth thing? Well, it's criticism. You ever been criticized for something that people didn't really understand or know about? Probably one of the most difficult things I ever went through on staff was being criticized for decisions that a lot of other people in leadership and they didn't know the whole story. My pastor had confided in me, and you know, initially I'd gone through this session, this thing, and it looked like it was good, and it looked like I was making the right decision, but in reality, I didn't know the whole story. I had to make a decision to submit to authority, to honor my pastor, to do the right thing. And you know what? To this day, I'm so glad I did. There's people to this day that don't know the whole story. They don't know. The other teachers I worked with, the other staff members I worked with, the criticism that I took was pretty heavy. But you know what? It's years later, and I'm looking back on it, and I'm so thankful. Now, this word is for someone I know today. Honor your pastor. Honor authority. Trust that they know the whole picture. Trust that they know things that you don't know. Everybody wants to be liked. Guess what? In the last days, believers are going to be criticized. Believers are going to be attacked. Believers are going to be maligned and lied about. There's going to be people that are going to put words in your mouth. You know what? Just adjust your heart and say, God, I'm going to use the storm for your good. I'm going to use the storm to keep my eyes on you. I'm going to adjust the posture of my heart to keep moving forward when I don't get it. You know how badly it is that human nature to want to be popular? You know how many pastors right now are really dropping the ball because they want to be accepted and they don't want to lose people in their congregations? They don't want to take necessarily a stance for righteousness or what's biblically true because they want to be accepted. I warn you, in the long run, it's going to backfire. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't get off into biblical things that just aren't true. And the last one on my diagram today, we have disappointment, loss, criticism, and betrayal. Betrayal, I honestly feel is one of the toughest ones that we deal with. You know, when you're especially when you're in the ministry and you're doing something holy or you love God, and then suddenly someone does something that breaks your heart, it's hard to take. You thought they loved you. You thought they loved your children. You thought they were your friend. You thought that you could confide in them. You could share your heart with them. And they betrayed you. See, betrayal isn't just someone saying negative things like criticism. Betrayal carries with it someone that was close. Someone that had your heart. Someone that you thought loved you unconditionally, only to find out they didn't. And they were talking about it publicly. You ever had that happen? They're not really your friend. Not really. Not really. Because if someone loves you, they're going to stand by you. They're going to care for you. You know what you do? You just turn. Just like this little goofy diagram says. Okay, I've been betrayed. Okay, I've been hurt. Okay, I've had someone break my heart. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to shift this old sailboat of mine, and I'm going to put the sails on the other side of the boat, and I'm going to look at the wind, the Holy Ghost. I'm going to look to God the Father. I'm going to keep my eyes on heaven, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And you know what? If you do that, God can really use you. Because when you trust Him, even in your pain, even when you've lost, even when you've been criticized, even when somebody's done something that's disappointed you, maybe they promised you something. Ever had anybody promise they were going to support you in ministry? Yeah, that's heartbreaking. Keep your eyes on Him. He knows the whole picture. And I can tell you what, you will inevitably get from point A to point B. You'll get there. It might not be a direct path. It might not be like the speedboat, that can just stick their motor in the water and go right into the wind. No, a lot of times in ministry, you've got to use the wind to your advantage. You've got to use the opposition to keep you going forward. You've got to use the opposition to keep you in line with Him. You'll get there. And when you do, you'll have a love and a trust for the Lord. You'll have, it's like a diamond that's been refined over time. Diamonds, when they're refined, a diamond is a piece of coal, a piece of junk hidden down dark in the earth. But over time, with heat and pressure, two things, heat and pressure, what happens? Something of great worth and great value is produced. Something that's incredibly tough. Diamonds are used on the spits of those little mining instruments that go down into the earth. It's a diamond. At the tip of that is a diamond, and those are hard. Not only is it hard, but guess what? When a diamond is cut correctly, a diamond can reflect the light and the glory of God. Is ministry hard? Oh. Is there enormous adversity? Oh. Is there going to be opportunity to be hurt and be offended? Yes. But I can promise you, in the long run, if you will adjust your sails, God can use you. Thank you for listening. Continue to pray for me and our journey going forward on as we learn to flow in the things of God, as we learn to flow in the things of the kingdom, as we learn to use the negative things that happen on the water so that we can grow and be grounded in Him. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for listening.